Hello, and welcome to Mining Review Africa. Today I'm joined by Raksha Maharaj, who's the Regional Director Africa of Invest Northern Ireland. And she's going to be telling us about the organization, what its goals are, what it hopes to achieve, as well as its interest in Africa. Raksha, thank you firstly for joining us today.
Thank you, Gerard.
Okay, so firstly, can you give us an overview about what Invest Northern Ireland is about? What are your goals and what are your objectives?
Okay, certainly. So Invest Northern Ireland is a regional development agency based in Northern Ireland. We work under the Department for the Economy. And as Northern Ireland is part of the UK, we do form part of the greater UK region. Across the world, we work together with the UK government in different countries, different locations. For our objectives, we help new and existing businesses in Northern Ireland to export internationally, and we also work to attract new investment into Northern Ireland. In Africa specifically, what we look at is we assess companies' readiness to export. We help them identify suitable markets for their products, as well as looking at markets that have the potential for growth. So once we do this, we then help them to understand the business environment. With 54 different markets in Africa, you have to approach each one individually. So we help them to understand those business environments. We help them to identify partners and to engage with them. And then once they're in market, we work together with them to help their businesses succeed. What this does is, by creating sales in overseas markets, it leads to export growth and therefore leads to local economic growth and development in Northern Ireland, which is ultimately what our mandate is, to help grow and develop the local economy.
So, Raksha, let's look at in the greater scheme of things. How important is Africa to Invest Northern Ireland, and why is this the case?
Okay, so I think Africa is interesting for a variety of reasons. In recent years, it's been home to several of the world's fastest growing economies. It's got a huge population, and I think, being such a mineral-rich continent, it's of interest to Invest Northern Ireland and Northern Ireland businesses as a whole. Many of the products we develop are used in mining, in construction, in those type of industries. And as we know, Africa is undergoing a rejuvenation in those areas. As I said, Africa is mineral rich. We're seeing infrastructure development, construction, all over the continent as there's a move away from traditional sectors like agriculture, more towards industrialization, and that's where our goods and products come into play. Also of interest to us is the growing population in Africa. I think it's about 1.3 billion people, and there's a significant consumer base for Northern Ireland products. We also see, a youthful population. I think about 25% of the population is under the age of 60. So this is a growing, diverse, middle class population that will emerge in recent years. And, our job is to introduce them to Northern Ireland products, services, and develop a taste and a desire for those products, thereby entrenching those products in the market. And I think, lastly, of interest to us is Africa, once the African Continental Free Trade Area comes into play, it'll be the largest free trade area in the world, hopefully making it easier to do business. So rather than approaching, each market individually, you're able to look at a wider base for your products and create economies of scale.
Right. Now, Northern Ireland is known for its strong industrial heritage and is globally recognized for the development of mobile solutions in particular. Tell us about the evolution of Northern Ireland's engineering industry.
Okay, I think important to mention is that this sector has been operating in Northern Ireland for about 60 years. At the moment, about 40% of the world's mobile crushing and screening equipment comes from Northern Ireland. And if you think about Northern Ireland, it's a tiny a place, small population of about 1 million people. So to have that spread in terms of 40% of mobile crushing and screening equipment coming from the region, speaks to how much we've developed the industry. We have at the moment about 4,000 people working in over 100 companies exporting to all over the world. And while this started off from a small scale, what we've managed to do is create a resource base in Northern Ireland. So to create, knowledge, expertise, innovation that tends to feed the industry, create new products, better products, especially if we look at things like, sustainable development. When you look at mining, what green solutions can come to the fore. Northern Ireland is constantly innovating in order to be up to the trend on that. I think also in Northern Ireland, around this industry, we've developed, a very comprehensive and competitive supply chain feeding into the industry. Currently, our costs are about, they're way more competitive, sometimes as much as 12 to 15% more than locations in Europe or the US, making our products more cost competitive and offering value for money. And I think if you're looking at a continent like Africa, which is still developing, getting value for money and getting a high quality product is very important. So, that's why we see a natural fit towards our products and the increasing demand in Africa.
Right. And so, on the topic of Africa, can you please give our audience a bit of insight into Invest Northern Ireland's strategic drive and opportunities for the mining and quarrying sectors on the continent?
Okay, as I mentioned earlier, because Africa is resource rich, and our one of our primary sectors of focus is advanced engineering and materials handling, which is used in things like, bulk products handling, materials handling, mining, quarrying, etc. We see a natural fit, demand coming from Africa and us being able to provide the products and solutions. And we really see this as, a partnership for mutual benefit. Because we are looking to work together with African partners to develop local industries, but at the same time help our companies, most of whom are SMEs. So the majority of companies you'll find in Northern Ireland are SMEs. So working together like for like. And I think, I mentioned as well that the infrastructure sector, construction in Africa is undergoing a huge development at the moment. So things like construction and demolition waste, we have innovative solutions to handle that. So really, I think that's where Africa becomes important for us. Developed markets like the US, Europe, Australia, yes, there'll be a constant sales source for the next few years. But I think it's always important to keep looking ahead. And as an African, I see Africa as the future for development and certainly for Northern Irish companies as well. That being said, we do have a number of Northern Ireland companies already operating in Africa. What is important for me is to get more companies interested in the continent. I think traditionally we find that, most companies tend to look closer to home. for Northern Ireland, that's been the UK market, which is huge, the European market, and the US, which is a traditional market. But for me, it's to get them in as interested and excited in Africa as I am. And I think, by providing them with information, by bringing opportunities to them, that's when you have a mindset shift, a way to looking at new opportunities. And, Africa is a massive opportunity. In Africa, we have our focus markets of Ghana, Nigeria, Egypt, Kenya, and South Africa. But we're also closely scoping opportunities in emerging markets. And when I say emerging, that's for things like mining, construction, etc. So it would be Morocco, Angola, Tanzania, Zambia as some of the markets that we're looking to develop and getting them ready for engagement with with the Northern Ireland companies.
Is Invest Northern Ireland involved in any mining companies in Africa?
So because we are part of the supply chain, you don't have companies that are investing in mining projects. But what we look to do is work together with the big mining houses. In the case of construction, work together with contractors to get our products into the supply chain. In that sense, we tend to work quite closely with the UK government, with UK mining companies that are looking for supply chain solutions. So ours is very much a supply chain industry, and we look to engage with those companies that can bring them into their supply chain.
Okay. One final question from me, Raksha. If any company is interested in getting in touch with Invest Northern Ireland, how would they do this?
So, Gerard, we do have a very user-friendly website where one can send inquiries through. We work very closely with the UK Department for International Trade. Inquiries for us are also channeled through them. But the best way would be to reach out to myself directly. I'm based in Johannesburg, South Africa, together with a colleague. And we have somebody based in Cairo, in Egypt, looking at the North African market for us, which we see as a very important part of Africa as well. So, directly reach out to us or through our website channels.
Okay. Can you share your details with our audience?
Certainly. So it's raksha.maharaj@investni.com. And our website is www.investni.com. From there, you would navigate to the international page, and you would see a listing of international teams. So you'd be able to reach out to myself as well as my colleagues in all the other regions that we are represented in.
Excellent. Raksha Maharaj, Regional Director of Africa for Invest Northern Ireland. Thank you so much for your time, and also well done for the sterling work that your organization is doing in Africa.
Thank you very much, Gerard.